You've probably heard the term, the customer is always right. That's only part true. The customer thinks they're always right. And the true magic and mastery of it is to tell the customer they're wrong while helping them believe that they are right. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to talk to your customer. I'm going to start off with a little story of this place I went into. It was a soldiers club, and I was pretty new to coffee, so I thought I would be nice and hip and ask some questions. Firstly, it wasn't the right menu for it, but the thing that the girl serving me said still sticks in my mind today. 101 What Not to Say when a customer is asking about your coffee is, and I quote here, "I don't know. I don't drink coffee." Yeah, it really instills you with a lot of faith, doesn't it? So, the first step that you should do when you are serving a customer is to be polite. Use your manners, pleases and thank you, the P's and the Q's. It really makes all of the difference, and it adds a pleasantness to your demeanor that makes you a lot more attractive to come back to and talk to. There's nothing worse than being disgruntled and telling a customer, "Nah, I don't want your service, I don't want your time," while not actually uttering those words. You really need to be polite and friendly. It's not a job for someone who doesn't like people. I would suggest, if you don't like people and you're in the industry, become a chef. There's lots of work behind the scenes that you can do, and lots of disgruntled things you can say, without the customer knowing. So when a customer approaches the counter, you should greet them. You should say hello and ask them how their day is. Have a little bit of small talk. Try not to have too much. There will be customers that will engage you and have small talk, which isn't a bad thing for the business at all. However, if there is a long line of people behind them, it's not really best to hear their life stories. You could have a couple of people walk out of the line. That's not what you're after. So knowing the time and the place to have that conversation, if it's quiet, go for it. Otherwise, try and have it as quick as possible. There's a bit of a script there, so normally you will, greet them, you'll ask them what they want, you'll go through the little modifications they can have to their coffee order, let's say, and you'll also know the modifications to the food. Definitely, find out what your workplace has there, because, you could have different meats on your eggs benedicts, and going through the till and trying to read it doesn't look too professional. And it definitely doesn't look too professional when you go to the table after you've taken their order and ask them those questions that you should have asked. Definitely get on that upsell. See if they want chips. See if they want to upgrade from cup to a mug. That little 50 cents, couple of dollars really adds a difference to the business. And a happy boss is definitely the premise of a happy place to work. A lot of the time, the customer might actually know what they want. We make the menus look very appetizing just from the sight and the sound of the words. However, a lot of the time, you will be confronted with the question, "What would you recommend?" So when that is the case, some people go with the method of recommending the most expensive thing. Some people know the profit margins in and out, recommend the most profitable thing. And sometimes you might be looking at the specials, because honestly, if you've got something on special list, chances are you've got a big amount of that ingredient you need to get rid of. Or, it might just be a run out stock or something like that, but it'll be really tantalizing. The way that you word things is very important as well. So when somebody asks about the coffee, explaining a little bit about what your blend tastes like, using some technical jargon. They won't really understand it, but if you do it right, they will be tasting that coffee before it's even hit their lips. They will be drooling over the food before you've even taken it out to the table. Coffee and cafes are one of those strange sales things where you still sell after you close. Mostly, the In any other industry, the close is the final part, but in cafes, it's actually just the start. When you've closed, you need to ensure that the product is up to standard. You don't want to get that bad review. You don't want them complaining about the service that you've given them after that. They still want to feel valued. They want to feel like royalty. So always remember to be on that hardcore sale, even after they've given you the money for it. And ask them for feedback. It helps them feel valued. It helps them feel like they matter to your business. And that's exactly what they're after. Also, last point, remember, if they keep on coming back, engage them with a little bit of the conversation they gave you last time. Ask them how their job's going. I had a customer who was saying how her daughter was learning how to drive. So about a week or two later, I asked her how she was going with that, and she told me a little bit more. It definitely helps them feel valued because you're remembering parts of their life and giving them that engaging conversation that they're looking for. So definitely, if they are a regular customer, make sure that you remember their name and their coffee. That's key. It really makes all the difference, and it makes it a much smoother transaction. So these are the little tips and tricks that I have for dealing with customers and serving them as best as that I can. Tomorrow, I will be going over a method of extraction that I find is amazing. It's one of my favorites. It's a very easy thing to do. I'll be going over a couple of the methods that you can go with it, as well as some of the really cool expensive equipment that looks beautiful on a bench. And that is cold brew coffee. Now, it is very cold where I am, and probably where most of the people watching this are, seeing as I'm just talking in my hometown, really. If I'm not, please leave a comment or something like that. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching this, because I'd love to know. But again, tomorrow I will be talking about cold brew coffee and the magic of the extraction that happens over an 8 to 10 hour course.